Russia recognized in the past centuries that who controls Tbilisi controls the Caucasus.
In Washington, the U.S. Helsinki Commission convened a critical hearing on Georgia's democratic decline. At the center of the debate, the bipartisan act designed to sanction corrupt officials and support Georgia's civil society. And the most anticipated voice in the room was that of Salome Zurabishvili, the former Georgian president, who delivered some of her strongest messages yet to American lawmakers.
And I'm also here representing the people that are today sitting in jail, and maybe symbolically, I want to mention Zia Mahlobeli as a journalist, a woman that is sitting in jail for absolutely no reason.
Zurabishvili opened with a stark reminder. Georgia's democratic crisis is not theoretical. It is lived daily by journalists, activists, and opposition leaders behind bars.
Well, I'm here to talk about the relations between Georgia and the United States, to recall that for more than 30 years, the United States has stood shoulder to shoulder with Georgia and has been there to help us build an independent, stable, pro-Western, reform-oriented state, which we're losing right now. Today, for the first time in more than 3 decades, the ruling regime in Georgia has turned its back to this partnership.
Former President Zurabishvili's message was blunt. The Georgian Dream Party has abandoned its Western course, blocking U.S. businesses from the Middle Corridor while embracing Moscow, Beijing, and Tehran.
Distancing and isolating both itself and the country from its trusted ally, while increasingly aligning itself with the United States adversaries. Russia is playing its hand to recover its dominant position. Georgian Dream has grown increasingly anti-Western and pro-Russian. GD's public positions have increasingly taken an aggressively anti-American tone. Public attacks on the US representatives, I think that the ambassador sitting behind me will not disagree with that, on US policies, accusing USA of pushing for the opening of a second front against Moscow, hostile attacks on President Trump personally and on his administration. In parallel, GD leaders have been actively deepening ties, first and foremost with Russia, of course, copycatting the rhetoric of the Russian leaders, with China, an nuclear strategic partnership following the suspension of the strategic partnership with the United States, visa-free with China and Iran.
Former president described Georgia as a testing ground for Russia's hybrid authoritarianism, where power is seized not with tanks, but through disinformation, captured courts, and silenced opposition.
Compromising the independence of the country that was achieved at a very high cost, because we still have 20% of our territory that is occupied, and the war that Russia started against Georgia in 2008, after 2 other aggressions against Georgia in the same century. For the first time in recent history, Russia is mastering soft power, propaganda allied to modern technology, and to the use of the leaders that are in place. Russia is clearly playing a strategic card in Georgia to recoup its domination of the east-west route, its control over the Caucasus. Russia has known forever that Georgia was central to controlling the Caucasus and the Black Sea, thus reversing the strategic win of the Western partner in the past 30 years since independence, and testing a new strategy, a new hybrid strategy that can be implemented then in other countries, and not only in the countries that are sharing borders with Russia.
She warned that Georgia's fall would destabilize the Caucasus, undermine energy security, and hand Moscow leverage over Europe's connections to Central Asia.
Without democracy in Georgia, there is no stability, and we risk entering a period of instability. And without stability in Georgia, there is no peace in the South Caucasus. The US brokered agreement between Armenia and Azerbaijan has opened new avenues for regional stability, connectivity, and economic cooperation. It has been a big win for and a success personally of President Trump. But this geopolitical shift should not be allowed to wither away if Russia were allowed to expand its influence over Georgia, thus blocking the potential of a united and peaceful Caucasus, bridging Black and Caspian Seas.
The Helsinki Commission is weighing its options, and the former Georgian President Zurabishvili's testimony made clear the stakes. Georgia's people remain pro-Western, but their government has chosen a different path. Her appeal to Washington was unmistakable. America must act now, or risk watching Russia reassert control over the Caucasus, undoing 3 decades of democratic progress.